Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Greg Dean, and I'm the development manager for the Dashboards team. It has been my honor over the last 5.5 years to work with a great group of engineers that both strive to help people deal with their data and make it fun too. It is my pleasure today to introduce to you the Bert and Ernie of infographics, the click and clack of analytics, or as I like to say, the Penn and Teller of data visualization. Andy Kriebel dedicates an incredible amount of time to working with Tableau users, with projects such as Makeover Monday, Tableau Tip Tuesday, and Workout Wednesdays. I expect by this time next year, he and his collaborators will have Thursday and Friday covered for inspiring the Tableau community. Jeffrey Shaffer has been helping people visualize data since before I started at Tableau. His blog is a wealth of information on both how to use Tableau and create beautiful and insightful data visualizations. Jeffrey is also the co-author of the Big Book of Dashboards, available now on Amazon. Together, they spent 52 weeks working on a project called Dear Data 2, where they got to explore data, such as their favorite clothes, or what foods they ate, where they got to deal with snail mail and improve their drawing abilities. Today, they are going to do a rematch of last year's very popular, and some would say controversial, speed tipping talk. So please join me in welcoming Andy and Jeffrey.
Thank you. Thank you. I did have WTF Friday last year as well, but I'm not going to curse this year because this is being live streamed, so I have to be careful. Okay, so I'm Andy. This is Jeff. You want to go through kind of the rules first?
Well, last year, Andy took an extra 5 minutes of time. So we now have a chess clock up here, marked with 25 minutes each, and we have our scorekeepers. So at the end, somebody's going to run out of time. That'll be fun, and we'll see what the final score is.
Okay, there was something else we were going to say as well. What was it?
Watch on YouTube.
Huh?
Watch this on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it'll be up on YouTube later. Oh, yeah, don't follow along. If you try to take notes, you'll be behind in about 30 seconds. So these are very, very fast tips. It's being recorded, live streamed, so you can always watch it later. Jeff and I will both put it up on our blogs, up on YouTube, and that's the best way to kind of go back and see things. This is about, this is a 50-minute sprint. Is that a good way to put it? Okay. Oh, and so here's how it works. So if you think something is a tip, it might not be the tip that we actually thought we were showing, but if you learn something new, or if you think it's just a tip in general, cheer. Okay, that's how we keep score. If I'm presenting and you cheer for something, well, I'll get a point, and then Jeff will get a point for his. So, make sense? You want to practice cheering? So, but keep the cheers short so that we don't run out of time. No, Jeff's cheers, make sure they're at least 30 seconds. Yeah. Okay, we ready to get started?
We're ready.
Okay, you guys ready? Did you start the clock?
She did.
You started the clock? Start it over. Okay. All right. And I tried to put last year I messed up my tips, so I tried to do better titles this year. So the first thing I want to do is, if I just want to look at a map of maybe profit ratio or something like that, and I want to break it up by regions, I want to actually have a region as a geographic field instead of state, but region isn't a geographic option in Tableau. So if I go on a geographic role, you see how there's no region there? I can actually do it from the state field. So I'm just going to put region. I now have a region geography, and I can look at regional profit ratio. Okay, so in this particular example, what I want to do is for each month, so January, February, March through December, I want to see each of the individual years, the temperature change. This is looking at global warming data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my month to a discrete field, and I'm going to drag year onto detail. And I get a series of lines like that. But what I really want to do is I want to jitter this. So there's a hidden function in Tableau called random. Random. It's hard to type when you're shaking. And hit that, and you get random, just like that. And it's really cool when you stick a reference line, or let me just stick an average reference line on here for each median. Oh, oh shit, forget it. I'm going to go back. Okay. So now I've got that same view, And I want to actually stick a box plot on here. So I'm going to just throw a box plot on the median, and I get something like that, right? But what I want to do is I want to hide everything and only look at the outliers. So I'm going to edit my box plot, and there's this little hidden option here that most of us probably have ignored called Hide Underlying Marks. Click on that, and now you see just your outliers. Okay, so in this particular example, I have year fields and I have month fields, but I need to create a date. So how many of you have written really long case statements or if then, and it's super long, right? Well, there is actually a make date formula. So I'm going to create a calculate field. I'm going to call it my new date because I already have a date. And if I just start typing in make date, you see I need to put the year in there. So I'm just going to drag my year number. And this uses all numbers. So year number, month number, comma 1, because I just put them all at the first, hit OK, and now I have a date field. So I can now use that, stick that up here, and I can look at it by year and month. I get back to something like that. Anyway, you get the idea. OK. All right, when you're working with CSVs, a lot of times numeric fields will come in as text fields, and that can be kind of a pain to clean up. But so in this particular example, my unit price came in as the text, and I want it to be a number and a measure. So if I look down here in my dimensions area, you'll see this has a little ABC next to it. If you click on that ABC, I can just quickly change it to a decimal. And now it's a number, and then I could just drag it down to my measures, and now it's a measure. That's it. I don't know where it went, but what is it called? Unit price. OK, there it is. See? Proof. OK. All right. In this particular example, sometimes you have a scatter plot, and you've got tons of outliers. I'm sorry, not tons of outliers, tons of null values, right? So how many of us go on here and we just automatically hide that? And then we say, oh shit, how do I get that back, right? Because I need to know if I got rid of my nulls or if I change them to zeros. Well, up here under the analytics pane, if you go down to special values and you choose show, your little indicator comes back. Okay, this is one of my favorite tricks, a 45-degree reference line. So I want to understand which customers bought more in 2015 than 2014. So the trick to this is to duplicate either one of these fields. So I'm just going to take 2014, oops, wrong button, and put it down there and make a dual axis. And on this one, I'm just going to make it, I can leave it as circles, doesn't really matter, but I'm going to make them super tiny. Actually, you know what, I'll just make them white and make them very small, kind of like invisible. And then I'm going to make it dual axis and synchronize. Okay, now from this point, I'm going to go back to my all marks card and get rid of measure names. So now you can't see that. And on the analytics pane, I can just put a trend line on my 2014 sales. And as soon as I synchronize that, I get a perfect 45-degree reference line. Okay, this one comes from Rachel Fang at the data school. And this totally blew me away when I saw this. So typically when we want to create a bar chart, let's say we wanted to look at sales by subcategory, we'll do something like this, and let's just make it entire view, and then maybe we'll sort it or something like that, right? And if we don't want to see the axis, we'll right-click and we'll choose Uncheck Show Header. Well, that's not really what I want to do. I don't want to have an axis at all. I don't even want a green field up here. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to take sales, I'm going to move it to the size shelf, and I'm going to change these to bars. And there we go. I got a no-axis bar chart. Oh, sorry, I meant to put something in here. That goes back to the previous one where you're not supposed to, anyway. Shoot. Okay. So this one comes from, you want to raise your hand? Okay, it comes from her in the front. So what I want to do is if I publish this to Tableau server, I don't want anybody to be able to click on this, right? So if, let's say, you here in the front, I don't want you to be able to click on this and to change the graph around or anything like that. I want to make it unclickable. So to do that, what I would do is I would go here to the floating section and put a blank one on here and just drag it like this and put it over top like that. And now nobody can click it. All right. One more. Okay, so someone sent me a TWBX, but I have no idea where the original data is, right? So help me. All right, so let's go to my Finder here. I've got an unzip folder. So here's my TWBX. Everybody see that? Okay. So to do that, I'm going to actually go down to oh boy, where's my thing here? Oh, there we go. Open with, other. Come on. And I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. Let's do all applications. There we go. And what did I call this now? Oh, they're out of order. Oh no, I'm losing time. There we go, the unarchiver. Hit open. And now I can actually see what data is comprised in there. So it's made up of Superstore. Okay, so over to Jeff.
I'm up. All right, to get started, we're calling tech support, and they say, oh, well, we need to know your key or your version of Tableau, right? So we're always trying to do that. Well, let's start with the Tableau key. We go to our help menu here, and it's under the manage keys, and we have this really long digit of numbers there. How do we get it out of here? Well, we can actually click on it and hit Control-C, and that will copy your Tableau key. Now, for those of you who are going to follow this online on YouTube and think you're going to get my Tableau key, that's going to expire pretty soon, so it's a temporary key. In addition to that, I want to see it here in the calculated window. We're doing some training, and we want to show somebody our calculated field. This is a great tip here. We're just going to zoom in on the calculated field. How about that? We can just zoom right in there. How do we do that? We just use our trackpad or the scroll on your mouse. We'll do the same thing. All right, we can do the same thing with our version of Tableau. This is a little, there's nothing to click on in here. So we go to our Tableau window, and as soon as you try to copy and paste that, oh, it disappeared. I can't get it. So same thing, go to your window, just hit Control-C, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. Close my window and go into a calculated field, and there is my version of Tableau. All right, that'll save you some time in figuring that out later. All right, copy selected marks. We showed a variation on this one last year. What if we wanted to do some analysis? We're digging in and we look at that mark and we look at this mark and we're multi-selecting these marks. Well, we can actually hit Control-C on that, and we can create a new sheet. I'm just going to go here with a new worksheet. I have 4 data points. I'm going to hit Control-V, and I bring my 4 marks back in to do analysis just on the 4 marks that I want to do. All right, Andy showed one where he was typing the random up here. He went up here and double-clicked random. Well, you can actually just type fields that already exist rather than hunting through a list. So if I go to, say, my Superstore data and I want to find sales, well, I just start typing sales, and that's a fast way to get sales in there. Just a quick, easy way to do that. Now, along those same lines with color, last year I showed a quick tip on color where we took the column and rows and dragged them from over here onto color, and a lot of people hadn't seen that before. You can actually do it from your rows and columns as well. Just click category, and so drag it down to color. Just put it right on there. Quick color, easy enough. If you want to change your color, you can do that too. So, all right, moving on. All right, I am always doing this, and I figured there had to be a better way to do this. I want to show a filter for something. Let's say I want to show the filter for the subcategory here. So I go find subcategory, and I dragged it onto filters, and then it gave me the box, and then I clicked OK, and then I went here and clicked here and said show filter. Well, there's an easier way to do that, a faster way to do that. Just go to the field that you want, right-click on it, and click show filter. So just saves you some steps. All right. Okay, so color marks. You'll notice in this slope graph here that the red lines are sort of in the back. The other lines are on top of it. And if it's a mark, you can change the marks. You can click on the mark and right-click, and you would be able to change a mark. But in this case, it's based on color. It's not based on the actual mark to go bring mark to the front or send it to the back. So to do this, we just do it in the color legend. We can actually pick the red and bring red to the top, and the red line will be at the top. So whatever our order is of our legend is the order of the mark on the color. All right, along those same lines, let's say I'm diving into technology. I want to click on technology. Whoops, not that. Over here. So I'm going to highlight. My highlight must be off. There we go. So I clicked on technology. I don't know if there's a highlight button right there that has to be selected to be able to do that. So if that's off, make sure it's on to highlight. I've highlighted the red, and now I want to recolor based on that color scheme. Well, I can go right here and click Assign Highlight Colors to Palette, And that new color scheme with the red and the gray are now assigned to my color palette. I don't have to redo the colors for my assigned color.
Those are going to mine.
Okay, using color shapes. You bring a shape in, I don't have anything on my color pill. Well, if these were dots here and I was using a circle from a default shape, I could change the color in the color menu. But when I go to color here and I change it to red, nothing changes to red. Easiest way to do that, just an inline formula, double click there right on my marks card. I'm just gonna type a letter A in quotes, and I'm gonna take that A and put it on color, and now I can change the color to whatever I want. So. All right, a line per color, but the trick is I want to keep this black line. And so to change it per color, I can right click, and under the edit trend lines, there's actually a box that says allow a trend line per color. And when I check that box, all is good. You'll see behind it, I have a red and blue, but my black line disappeared. And when I uncheck that, the black line. So how do we get both of those? I want both of those. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to duplicate a measure. We talked about this in a tip last year, I think. Control key just to duplicate. So we have two. It doesn't matter in this case which one because they're both green pills. I can duplicate either one. And I'm going to right click on the second one and edit the trend for the second one to give me my colors, and then simply put them on a dual axis. And so now I have both of them. And then I guess I'll finish with this one. We showed dragging to get rid of lines last year. I think Andy showed this tip where you take the average line and you drag it to get rid of it. That's a pretty fast one. I like to use the keyboard sometimes more than dragging, but I'll click it and I'll just hit my delete key. So if I click the line and hit the delete key, it's gone. So, good. And we'll turn it back over to Andy.
I just realized he took one of my tips. So
I did?
Yeah, bastard. Okay, all right, so in this case, what I want to look at is, let's say I'm looking at year. I'm going to make this continuous. And let's say we just want to look at the median temperature by year. But you see how I've got this kind of gap here. If I zoom in a bit, you can see I've got this gap here. I want that gap to be smaller, right? So all I need to do is change my data type on my year to a decimal. And then I can change this to say I want it to start at 159.5 and end at 16.5, and there we go. Now I can get them right close to the edge. So, and if you're unsure how to kind of create that year field, so let me take that off. What you could do is, if you have a date field, and you're unsure how you're supposed to create the year field, so let me go ahead and make this continuous as well. If I just double click in here, I can hit Control C, and then create a calculated field and paste it in, and there's my new year. So that's the way you can create a year field as well if you want to have it separately. So, okay, so this one was pretty fun. I learned this one the other day. So a lot of times what I want to do is I want to put dots on either end of the line, right? So I'll go to the label shelf, and I'll say show mark cards, and I'll say line ends, and I get lines on both ends, right? But I like what the most recent does, where it puts a tiny little dot on there as well, right? How many of you actually duplicate this? So let me show you a couple ways to do it. I could say something like if first, equals 0, or last equals 0, then give me the median, right? And something like that. And that's broken, but that's okay. You could do it like that, and then you could do it like that, and then dual axis and make those dots, right? Basically, just put dots on either end of the line. But this is really cool. I never knew you could do this. So if I go to the label shelf and I do line ends, I do min max, I can choose a field here, and I want to base it on my year, right? So now I get the dot on the end, and let me go ahead and put median on the label so we can see it better. And there we go. Now I have lines on either end plus the dots. So never knew that. And you knew that one, didn't you? No, okay, all right. Okay, so this one's pretty cool. So Jeff just did this, but he didn't point it out. So I'm going to steal it. All right, so what's really cool here is when you hover over any axis or any field in the view, you see I get this little triangle here on the edge that turns into a cross. Well, that lets you actually just move the field wherever you want. So I can make it dual axis like that, and maybe put these on color for comparison purposes or something. So anywhere you see a cross, you can move this around. So I could now take this and maybe move it to color and create something hideous. So we can make it even better and make it a pie, right? So we could do something like that. Yeah, it's really good. It's fantastic, isn't it? Okay, so let's put 2015 sales on angle and make something like that. Really good, yeah. Love my pies. Okay, so in this particular example, what I want to do is I want to create a gap between the west and the central here, right? I want to have a bit of spacing in between the regions, just make it look a bit cleaner. So to do that, I'm going to go over here to my analytics pane, and I'm going to go to my totals, and I'm going to first I'm going to turn on my subtotals, right? So now that I have these subtotals, I'm going to click on one of them, and in this little toolbar, I'm going to go down and choose to hide. And then I'm going to right-click on my format, my total line, and I'm going to just remove the label. And there we go. I've got a gap in my reports now. But that's how it works with dimensions, but how does it work with measures, right? Let's say I want a gap in between these two. So to do that, I can just simply do int null, like that. And now I can use that in between and put spaces in between my columns, like that. So that works as well. If you want to space things out. All right, so in this case, we're going to create I want to look at a world population bikini chart. Or you might call it a population pyramid. I think bikini chart sounds better. But so in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to take year, and I'm just going to put that on the rows, so we get something like that. And I'm going to take my female population and put that in the columns. And then I'm going to take my male population, and let's make these maybe a shared axis, something like that. And then put measure names onto color. Just make it nice and easy. Okay, well, now they're stacking on top of each other, which isn't particularly helpful. Let me pick a single country. Let's pick, I don't know, Australia. Doesn't really matter. Okay, see? That counts. That's a tip.
No.
She cheered for it. Okay, but notice how it's not really a bikini chart. I want one going one way and one going the other. Well, all I'm going to do is just double-click here in females and stick a negative in front. And now I get a bikini chart. So so if I make it entire view, I get something like that, which isn't particularly attractive. So I would make this continuous and change it to an area chart. And now it actually goes from most recent to older. So if I want to reverse that around, I could just click on the reversed on there, and there we go. All right. So there's one more thing I want to do on this, though. I want to actually have the year label kind of go down the middle, right? So let me switch this back to discrete. And I want my years labeled kind of going down the middle, right? So let me actually filter the years first just to make it a bit easier to see. So I'm going to just highlight a bunch of these and just uncheck them. Okay, do something like that. So, okay. That was pretty damn good, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just type in average of 0 in here. And on this, I'm going to actually make this a text. And I'm going to put country onto the text. Or I'm sorry, not country, year onto the text. And let's go back to, go to this card here, remove measure names. And now I can make this dual axis. And I can get my years going right down the middle, something like that. All right, so this one's pretty cool. So in this, what I want to do is when I click on a state, let's say Montana, because it's the orange one that's sticking out, I want the whole map to zoom into Montana, right? So to do that, I'm going to create a dashboard action. And hopefully I don't mess this up because I did the first time. I'm going to do a filter action that goes from the map to the map. But down here, the trick is I need to actually change this to be the worksheet, which, oh God, what is the name of it? Let's go with 16. Let's hope that's the right one. I don't know if it is or not, but we'll figure it out. And what I want to do is I want to do that on select, and then I want to show all values when it's not picked. And then here, I'm going to add a selected filter on state. So S-T-A-T-E, hit OK, hit OK again, hit OK again, 14 times. And now when I click on that, I can zoom into a particular state. That's not there? Wasn't up there?
Okay, well, with, I think it was Tableau 10.2, they gave us airport codes. That's pretty cool, and we can bring that in. Yeah, we can cheer for airport codes. So I'm going to go to my desktop here, and we have a sheet here called Airport Codes in a new workbook. I'm going to just drag that over. I have the airport codes that come right into Tableau. So there we quick data import. And then, thank you. And from here, we're going to, I did? Yeah. Okay, well, don't give me that point if I showed it last year. Airport code, just go to airport code, and we'll go down to the geographical role, and we're just going to mark it as airport. And there we go, we have the airport code. I'm going to just double click it, and we're going to see our airports that I have in there. Kind of put it right on there. All right. Next, this is also fairly new to Tableau in the map options here. Excuse me. We can add the map scale. So there's a box for the map scale. It'll put the map scale down in the bottom, and here's a good tip for you. You get one of these Logitech things because you can zoom in on the screen here, if it'll work. Let's just get it right there. So I can zoom in down to the bottom of the screen, right? See? All right. So yeah, for all you trainers out there, you definitely need that. So now we have that scale. It'll adjust automatically. So when you zoom in, you'll see the scale starts to change. And then if you're another nice tip here in the radio, when you zoom out, it adds the distance. So you can kind of see the 1 mile, the 2 miles. So that's fairly new as well. All right. Thank you. This one, I think there's a great Tableau video on this one by Emily and the Tableau Wannabe podcast group. Emily did dash lines. You want to do a dash line. And so this one is a bit tricky because you just have to know which fields to click and which ones not to click. So I'm gonna create that for you. Let's just walk through it. Before I do, I want to fire up one that I encountered. I think it even cost me a point last year because I had a magnifier up. But I'm going to open up Snagit. Anybody use Snagit? Right? All you Snagit people. Yeah, you're in training and somebody's following along and you take state, and I'm going to take state and put it on columns. And wait a minute, state won't go on columns. Why won't state go on columns? Nothing will go on columns. Why? Because that little Snagit thing is right there on top of my columns, and I can't drag a pill up there. So make sure you don't have that open. People are always confused on that. All right. Okay, so let's go back and build what we want to build here. I'm going to build this dash line with it's just 3 fields, month of order date and sales. So let's build that quickly. So real quick, I'm going to double click. I'm going to find my sales down here. I'll talk about this in a minute. Double click that, double click my order date, and then I'm going to change that to a continuous month. Have a green pill there, and I'm going to put my order date on pages. All right, so now I have, and I'm going to change it to month because I need it to match my month. Okay, so I have this on the page filter. And the thing is, if I go over here all the way to the end, I can kind of see what's going on here. The trick is that this really needs to be in circles like this, and you want to show your page history. You're going to show your trails, and down here with a line, I did something wrong there.
Your month is wrong.
My what?
Make it the...
Oh, thank you. My month did not kick over. He's helping me with my tip. Thank you, Andy. All right, so then kick this over to trails, and when we bring this down, it has to be on circles. You would think it would be on lines because you're making a dotted line, but you can't get the trails if you put it on lines. So you need these trails. And then down here, what you're going to do is you're going to show your history of the trails. So put all on there and show your histories, and you just make it a dotted line in there. So that's how we get the dash line in there. All right, creating fast hierarchies. We could, right-click to create some hierarchy, but we have the standard hierarchy in the Superstore data. I just sort of uncollapsed it here. So I guess we have manufacturer, product, subcategory, and category up there. Well, I'm just going to highlight these 3 with my control and drag them right on top of category. And when I do that, there's my fast hierarchy to say products, and I can create a hierarchy. So there's my fast hierarchy for that. If you need to, thank you. If you need to change in the hierarchy, category goes to subcategory, just drag it up right underneath. So it's category, subcategory, manufacturer, and product. All right, export to CSV. I showed this last year where we went to the data. We opened up the data to view the data, and we hit hit copy. We selected all of them, and we hit copy, and then we pasted it over to Excel. Well, who wants to do all that? We're just going to go to the, let's go to the Zvinka plot here, and I'm going to right-click on it, and all we have to do is export data to CSV. One click of a button, we get a CSV file. Okay.
But don't export to a CSV. That kind of defeats the purpose.
That is true.
Yeah.
But I think you have the greatest tooltip ever of exporting to CSV, didn't you? Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. Let's see. Shapes for custom legends. So we have a dot plot here. I've assigned my color. Remember, it's got the red color and the not color. So I want to create a custom legend for this, which is not squares. So I want to create a new sheet. Now, some of you may use the new sheet button over here, which I'm very fond of, but when you click it, what's going to happen is it's going to put a new sheet way over at the end, and now I have to drag it all the way back to where I was. So let's not do that. What you need to do instead is right where you want to create the new sheet, right here. I just right click and I'm just going to do it here because then my new sheet will be right where I want it. And thank you. From here, our custom legend, what we're going to do here is just take whatever we're using, our field for category. We're going to put our category there and just change it to shape. We'll just do circles. And then on color, I had color for category, which is assigned to that highlight color. So there's my custom color legend, and I can use this. And I can even create a dashboard action to use it to filter. So custom circle color legend. Time?
Oh, wait. Is he still going? Oh, no. Keep going.
Keep going?
Sorry,
Okay.
I thought it was counting up.
You want to find we got Superstore, and I have so many fields in here. I started using this more and more, especially when I have long rows. Just a Control F will give you the search box back and forth, and you can type the word sales, and then you only get the fields that have sales and sales calcs. It's much faster, so definitely do that. All right. Shapeshifter, this was a fun one, and I did a blog post on partly how to do this. So this is really just using a parameter down here for Shapeshifter. And so let's just look at the parameter of what I created. I have typed in 3 words, airplane, house, and car. And so very simple, I could type in whatever categories I want. The calc field, though, is the Shapeshifter calc up here, segment calc. And we'll use our tip from earlier to view in for you. And all it really does is says, if it's this, house, and your segment is consumers, so it's checking both of them, then we're going to use the consumer data. If it's an airplane and it's corporate, and so by doing that double statement there, well, that'll let my parameter change both my number for consumer and my shape. So I can have a custom shape for whatever I pick, home price, home office, and so on.
Good one.
Help icons are great. You might want to just grab an icon of a question mark. You throw that in as a custom shape. Like to use this one a lot. And on your tooltip, just put your instructions in a tooltip, and then you can use that on your dashboard up here so that you can hover over it and you have a beautiful help menu for your user on what they should do and what they should click. All right.
Time?
I'll finish up one more here. Okay. So custom shapes. You bring custom shapes in, and if you're like me, you go find these custom shapes. Hey, we both have the same amount of time. So we go to custom shapes, and we pick our shape. And in the shape folder, you'll see that I have this folder called 1,000 free icons. Who doesn't want 1,000 icons? So I downloaded 1,000 icons and put them in the folder. So what I want to caution you is that if you just use one of those icons in that folder, your whole folder of icons gets packaged in the package workbook. Wow, well that means that you really get a different size when you do that. So as an example, let's just build 2 workbooks really quickly. I'm going to just copy this A1 here into Tableau to create the smallest possible workbook I can create here. Come on, Tableau. So I have one field, the letter A, with a single value. And what I want to show you here is if I'm going to just put a shape on that, a single shape, and I'm just going to use a circle, very simple, and I'm going to save that as, I'm just going to put it right on my desktop, circle. I'll make it a packaged workbook, so it takes my shapes and packages them up. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the shape, And I'm going to change my shape this time to one from my 1,000 free icons. I'll just do the footsteps here and apply it. So all I'm doing is putting the footsteps in here. I'm going to save that one as well. Tips are getting longer, aren't they, Andy? I'm going to call this footsteps. And then let's go look in my desktop. So on my desktop, we will see the circle is a properties of a whopping 4 kilobytes. But my footsteps, the same single icon that wrapped with the 1,000 icons, is a whopping 2 megabytes. So there you go.
Okay. All right, it's very close right now. Okay, so this one comes from Nisa from the data school, and there's a blog post here to read it. But in this case, what I want to do is, first thing I want to do is draw a route map for all of the bus routes in London. So I'm going to take route and put that on detail, and I just get a mess, right? And then I'm going to take sequence, which is the order of the bus stops, and put that on that. And now I get a nice little map of bus stops, so it looks pretty cool. But what I want to be able to do is basically, when they choose less than 10 routes, I want the lines to get thicker, right? So they're a little bit easier to see. So if I just start by just picking 10, for example, you see the lines are still thin. I want them to be a bit thicker. So let me go back to all. So what I did was I created a calculated field that just says if the total of the number of routes is bigger than 10, then make it a 1, else make it 10, right? So I'm going to take that and drag that onto the size shelf. And now I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to make it by range. I'm going to say from 1 to 10. And there we go. And maybe I'll just drag this over a bit, hit OK. And now if I pick less than 10 routes, there we go. My lines are thicker. So like that. So you can use the size calculation for that. OK, so in this particular example, I have a continuous months for sales, right? And when we hover over, but what I really want on my axis here is I just want a single letter for each of the months. So I'm going to right-click on the axis and choose Format. And down here in the scale, down here in dates, I'm going to go down to Custom, and I'm just going to put the letter M 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And there we go. So now I just have a single letter, and if I want the year in there as well, I can do YY. So now I can do like November 11, 12, something like that. So use your custom formatting to save you a bit of space. All right, so in this example, what I want to do is I want to actually also put region on the label shelf, and you see how my labels are cut off there. So let me make these a bit bigger. Let's see. No, it's OK. I'm just going to choose to match the mark color to make it a bit easier to see, maybe make them bold. OK, but you see how central is kind of cut off a bit, right? So what I want to be able to do is I need to give space over there. Well, what I could do is I could just go in here and change the end date manually. But what happens when I get new data and I get past that, right? Then the data would get cut off. So I need to do it manually, or automagically. So I'm going to create a calculated field that's called my max year plus. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use mustachios, and I'm just going to do the max of, and I'm going to drag this down here. I don't want to do the month. Yeah, let's do months. It's OK. Let's make this max month instead. So what I want to do now is I want to take the max. I want to do a date add, and it got rid of that. I want to take I want to do month at the month level. I want to do month, and then I want to add 2, and there's my date field. And I did it wrong, so I'm going to go back and switch this to year because I messed up. And I'm just going to add 2, something like that. And I have an error because I'm missing, I lost my mustachio on the end, didn't I? And a bracket. There we go. OK, so that gives me 2 years extra. Yeah. So now I'm going to just drag that onto my, detail shelf. And let's just make it months to be consistent. And now on my analytics pane, I can drag a reference line on the months, and I can say to base it off of my max month. So now let's do none and show recalculate. There we go. Oh, it didn't work. OK. So I messed up my calculation. This has to be year, I think. OK. Anyway, it's supposed to work. I messed something up there. Oh, that sucks ass. Okay. So in this particular example, I kind of like the way that this was built. So I want to understand, let's say that you just see an image of it or something like that, and for some reason somebody decided to hide the rows and columns. You understand how they built it. Well, you can go up to Worksheet, and if you go to Describe Sheet, which nobody ever does, you can go on here and you can see all of the marks that they used, right? It's really cool. That's one of my favorite things for reconstructing things. All right, now this one totally blew me away. So in this particular example, let's say I want to drag, let's take year and put that on the filters. And let's say we want to look at everything from, let's make it continuous instead. Let me just right click, continuous, make it easier. Okay, and I want to start at 1960, something like that, right? Hit OK. And that filters that nice and neat. But what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to apply that to all data sources or all sheets that are these teal colors, right? So I don't want to go here and choose apply to all using this data source. I only want to do it to the teal colored ones. So what I can do is I can go in here and I can do apply filter, selected worksheets, and notice how these are colored, right? I never knew that before. So I can go in here and I can just pick the teal colored sheets to apply that to instead. So that's a good way to use your sheet colors. Okay, so this one, so anybody that follows Pooja knows she likes doing all these like weird design things to try to look cool. So this actually came up in a webinar that Eva and I did, so I thought I would add it as a tip. So basically, how can you create these kind of boxes that have these lines, right? So I'm going to choose a floating object here, and I'm going to start by just dragging on a text box and just hit OK. And let me make that a bit bigger so you can see it. And then I'm going to go ahead and format my text box and I'll put a nice thick border on it so you can see it better. Can you see that OK? Yeah. So what you do there is if you want to kind of cut this out is you drag another one on top of that one. And I'm going to call this best tip ever. And I'm going to make that maybe 28 point, center it, whatever. There we go, something like that. And if I put this one kind of in the middle here and I drag it up and down, oh, come on. There we go. And now if I format this text object, I can make the border white. In theory, if I click the right spot, what is not working there? Shading. Oh, shading. Whoops. God, don't yell at me. Okay. And there we go. Is that how you do it, Pooja? Is that how you do it? Okay, yeah. I was just guessing. I figured I was right. Okay. So in this case, what I want to be able to do is I want to have nice little divider lines between each of these sections to kind of split up the view. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. The first way is you can drag an image in between. Oop, let me make it tiled. Drag an image in between. And on my computer, I have tons and tons of different lines I created in PowerPoint and just save them as images, right? So I'm going to go with a moss-colored thick line because that's what I want. And I can stick that in there, and then I choose Fit Image, and then Center Image. And there we go. I have a nice little line. And then I can choose to edit the height, and I can make it 1 pixel. And now I have a nice line in between, something like that. The other way is to use a text box. So I'm going to drag a text box in between these two, and this is actually my preferred way. And now I'm just going to go to Format Text Box and shade it. I'll make it maybe like a gray or something. And then again, just set the height to 1, and now you have a line that goes all the way across.
I think we showed that one last year, too. You have 3 minutes.
Oh, OK. Should I stop there then?
Probably.
OK. You stole this one, so.
I stole it from you? OK.
We could keep going, too, if you guys want.
All right, you have a Tableau workbook that somebody put on Tableau Public and you want all their shapes. Well, this is a cool app by one of the Tableau developers. You can actually bookmark this and it'll show up here as a bookmark. So it only works in Chrome, but you can find anybody's Tableau Public page. Let's go look up Jewel and just find her Tableau Public page and see what she has. I think she's got some cool Tableau Public vizzes. I don't know if this one has shapes in it. Let's find her, actually let's go over here and find one that has shapes. How about this one over here? So history of the drum corps. So we view this, it's right here in the browser, just pulls it up in the browser. All we're gonna do once it loads here is click the button. Once we click the button, you'll see it downloaded a zip file of all the shapes in the browser, and you have all of the shapes that were used in her viz. All right. In part of the big book of dashboards, we talk about big numbers, big ass numbers. You know, it only took him 3 minutes to curse this year. I think, you know, that was a record time here. So our limit in font size in a text box, this is 72. So if I bring a text box and put it over here, the largest I can go in anything I type in here is 72. Well, you can actually go bigger than that. The easiest way to do it is just any kind of word editor. I'll just use Microsoft Word. I'll come in Microsoft Word and create something like 150. And I will make this really, really big font. Well, I can do the 70, but I can also type in here 350. That might be a little too big, but we'll copy that, bring it over to our text box, paste it, and we have a giant text. Along the same lines, you can also copy special characters from Word. One of the fun ones is ligatures. These are right here. This is just Times New Roman, and you'll see that I have a ligature in the font. That just comes from the same thing. I'll crank down my font a little bit. Let's go to 50 now. And this is under the Insert tab in Word anyway. There's symbols. You'll just have to go look through your symbols. They have all kinds of different symbols, including various ligatures if you want to insert something like that. So that's fun, can give you some decorative fonts. You just copy and go over here and paste that into Tableau, and it shows up just like that. Okay. Andy likes donuts and ice cream and chocolate and Reese's peanut butter cups, I think. So here's this chart that's a text box that says Andy likes donuts. And the thing is that there's multiple layout boxes here. You'll see over here that I have 3 of them, and Andy likes donuts is on top. This one comes from Rodrigo. You can actually click over here on your objects and rank them. Jeff likes donuts too. And I can rank that above that to put that on top. Team Jeff. All right. Now, Pooja does some great work. You know, she likes to do all the design, cool design stuff. Well, one that I thought that would look cool would be 3D text. So I'm just going to copy Pooja-tastic there. Just going to copy the text, and I'm just going to put another text box, a floating text box, not a tiled text box, a floating text box right on top of that. And so we have that. I'm going to size it so that it's the same. And then I'm going to change the color of that second one, maybe to how about a gray? We'll do a light gray like that. And I can put that right on top of the other one to get a nice 3D text in Tableau. All right, you're working on dates. You can take a year and you can hit the plus sign and it'll go down to month and quarters and days, and that's great. But what if you need to go back up? Well, down here, the user can do back and forth. We can go down to days down here. The minus sign will bring it back up. So great, quick access to go back up and down for continuous dates. This one came from one of my students who were trying to do this in a crime file, and so they wanted to just color a certain part of the line, maybe for to highlight something. So what I did was just create a calculated field here, date range. But before I do that, I just want to highlight over it. Oh, did I mention that Andy likes donuts? How did I get that in there? Well, I right-click, and down here in default properties, we can use comments, and we can comment our fields. So there's a tip for you. We can even have more fun. In week 5 of Dear Data, Andy spent more on ice cream than Mother's Day. It was kind of sad. Yeah. Anyway, that field that I created here is order date, and Andy talked about how to make a date. Well, this is how we do that in Tableau. We just take order date greater than or equal to our make date. We're going to take that and put it on our color, and we can color our line. Now, if you like it. The thing with this is, though, there's always a break in the line, and so this is an interesting one. If you want to connect that, just go down to Attribute, click your attribute, make it an attribute, and your line is now connected.
just have 2 minutes left.
Okay. We're doing speed tipping now?
Yeah.
2 minutes each?
We could keep
Go.
going, too, if you guys want to just stick around. That's fine. So Jeff showed this one, so I'm going to skip that one. OK, so in this particular example, what I want to do is I'm going to duplicate month onto the color shelf, and I get a different color for every month. Everybody loves these kind of charts, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to assign January like a blue, and maybe I'll leave December the way it is. But all the colors in between I want to have in a range, right? So I'm going to go ahead in here and pick one of my color palettes, maybe green, hit Assign Palette, and that only gets assigned to those fields. OK, so Jeff just called me and told me that all of our sales numbers are off by a factor of 100. So I need to fix that. So I'm going to create a new calculated field. I'm going to call it sales fixed. And I'm going to say sales times 100, because everything's off by a factor of 100. I don't know why, you're not an accountant apparently. But what I need to be able to do is, it would really suck to go back through every one of these charts and fix that, right? So what I'm going to do is, when I have sales here, I'm going to right click and do replace references. And I'm going to go down here to sales fixed and hit OK. And that's going to replace it every single where that it exists in the workbook at once. All right, so in this example, I'm looking at the average days to ship. And what?
1 minute.
OK. And I want to be able to round these both up and down. So what I'm going to start by doing is just doing a round function. And I'm going to drag this in. And let's say we want to round it to 0 decimals. Oops, comma 0. OK? And the round function actually rounds all of them up, right? Well, what if I want it to round down? Well, I can do that with an integer. Just do an int instead. And that'll truncate everything, essentially. But there's also 2 more. I could do floor and put that in. And guess what the other one is? Anybody know? Ceiling, right? So I can do ceiling. So all these functions exist in there. You just have to know how to play with them. So I'll get in there. Get in there. Well, you get the idea, right? OK, yeah. OK.
10 seconds.
All right. Bump chart, trend for, OK, these are all going to take too long. I put all my long ones at the end, so I'll just stop there for now.
All right. I guess I'm down to 2 minutes, so time for quick tips like Iron Viz time here, right? Okay, so embedding an online image. You might have your images on a website and you want to put your images. Well, okay, I have an image of Andy here. And I want to put that in. Well, the thing is that image is stored on a website. And as soon as I put it in, it'll show up in Tableau Desktop. The problem is when I publish it to Tableau Public, it's going to say, oh, it needs to be HTTPS, and you can't control that. So what you do is, I built this for you. Anybody's welcome to use it. Just put your URL at the end of this URL, and then when you put it into Tableau Public, you'll see the difference. The one on the right will work, and the one on the left didn't. You also might want to have a blank object, so I built a blank page. There is a web page right there, but it's not going to show up until I click something. So there's a blank page that you can put in as your placeholder URL, and then when you click on it, it will pull up a URL inside of there. Along the same lines, you can do Base64 images, which are really just like your shapes in Tableau. And the data that I'm bringing in are just a field right there. You'll see this really long list of things there. If it's too long, that's why I put the length there, so you could kind of see the length. If it's more than about 6,000 characters, it won't show up. But this one, when I click on it, will pull up. And this one, there's no, this is all just text that I brought in, and there's Andy eating pie. You know, I'm going to take my extra seconds. I did bring something for you, Andy.
Oh, boy.
I did get a donut for you.
Oh, fantastic.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, very good.
All right. I think we're time's up. So.
I only got halfway through my workbook, too, so that's a good
I know,
sign.
we got
I
stuff
was worried
in
I
this
wasn't
chair.
prepared enough, but. All right.
What's the final score?
I lost. Any guesses on what the score is? Anybody want to guess? It's not a tie. Who thinks Jeff won?
5 to 6. 38 to 35.
Oh, he's seeing through the. He can see through it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it looks like this year Jeff is the winner, 38 to 35. Well done, Jeff. Yeah. Well done.
Until next year.
All right, I think we finished a few minutes early, so I mean, we could keep going if you guys want to sit here, but no, that's all right. go to the next session, get in line early.